have distinguished members of the Dr. Martin Luther King Celebration Commission with us. They were on the stage. Let's give them another hand. We have members of the Harris Stowe State University family and alumni with us, and some are on the stage with me now. And we also have some Board of Regents here with us, so we have a large group. We have corporate and community and civic leaders and educators of all levels. And we have friends of Harris Stowe State University, friends of this state of Missouri, so that we have friends that we're recognizing this special occasion. We're pleased that we have joined together to call this special 26th observance a special time for us, because it means that we have not forgotten the dream. It means that we're still remembering the dream that got us here in the first place. We also recognize that the state of Missouri was one of those states bold enough to accept it as a legal holiday as well. So we want to give the state of Missouri a hand. Our theme this year for 2012 is Strength, Sacrifice, and Service, Empowering a New Generation. And you think about it now, we always say that the children are our future, and in fact, you're going to find that all of us here represent the new generation, because all of us tonight will be renewed, and we will have that chance to make a difference.
Tonight, we want to emphasize now more than ever how we as American people of all walks of life stand together as brothers and sisters, showcasing our willingness to demonstrate the work for Dr. King and for all that he stood for. Our support of each other is how we truly symbolize strength, sacrifice, and service, and persist in empowering our new generation. Let us focus on the service efforts of ourselves, our respective organizations, and our youth, always setting an example for those who will come after us. I'd like to encourage you to use your strength and vigor to lift up the communities in which you live, work, and play, lending a hand in serving those less fortunate, and overall committing to make our entire world a much better place by exemplifying Dr. King's valiant attempts to end poverty and reinforce values of love, peace, and unity.
In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. These words are profound and have much meaning simply because Dr. King is asking that everyone join in the fight. Remember, the MLK holiday is a day on and not a day off, nor a day to be silent. Commissioner Gales. Those are her words. With that said, I'll now bring to the stage one of Missouri's greatest warriors for justice and equality for all, the Honorable Senator Claire Mccaskill.
Dr. King wrote, "Every step toward the goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle. The tireless exertions and passionate concern of dedicated individuals. The goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle." I want to recognize all of the people in this room, not just Dr. Givens, who we have great respect for, not just Mrs. Gully, who is going to be a great leader for this effort, not just Dr. Walker, who will, I know, lead this university on with distinction, but also all the people in this room who have faced ignorance and prejudice with dignity and patience. Thank you for your struggle.
Our next speaker is Congressman William Lacy Clay, Jr., United States House of Representatives, 1st Congressional District. Congressman Clay.
Before I begin my remarks, I want to call to your attention a special appeal we are making tonight to ask you to consider becoming an organ and tissue donor. Recently, I introduced legislation to establish a national organ and tissue donation registry resource center. The lack of African American donors is costing the lives of too many people who could be saved. Along with the Larry Hughes Foundation, we have set up tables outside the auditorium and on the lower level to provide information on how you can take a stand and save a life. First, I want to congratulate Harris Stowe's outstanding new president, Dr. Albert Walker. Dr. Walker, welcome back to St. Louis. I also want to congratulate the new chairman of Missouri's Dr. Martin Luther King State Commission, Constance Gully. Thank you for your service. And you know, I would be remiss if I did not mention our keynote speaker, who is a longtime friend of my family, the incredible Dick Gregory. Can we give him a round of applause? Thank you, and welcome back. Tonight's theme is strength, sacrifice, and service. And as I was thinking about what message I might bring you, I considered how much strength we all will need in this new year to confront a growing menace in this country. And that is the anger and blind hatred that is coming from so many extreme voices. Just a few days ago, I was appalled that a fellow member of Congress, James Sensenbrenner of Wisconsin, had the nerve to make a crude comment referring to the anatomy of our wonderful First Lady, Michelle Obama. That's a shame. Shame on you, Jim Sensenbrenner. And can you imagine what would have happened if an African-American congressman had made a similar comment about the First Lady, Laura Bush? Can you imagine? And then there was the conduct of another one of my colleagues, the Republican leader of the U.S. Senate, Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, who took to the Senate floor to state that his number one national priority was making sure that Barack Obama was a one-term president. It wasn't about jobs, it wasn't about health care, nor education, not even national security, just a blind hatred of the president. And yet, in both instances, there was very little outrage expressed. And that's a symptom of a much bigger problem in this country that Dr. King would expect us to stand up against.
And we now bring to the stage Congressman Russ Carnahan, United States House of Representatives, 3rd Congressional District. Ladies and gentlemen, Congressman Carnahan.
It is always such a thrill and inspiration to be here at this event each year. And I want to thank the Commission for all their work they do, not just here, but around the state, the members that volunteer their time and their talents to make this happen, to make it meaningful, and to pass on the importance of Dr. King's legacy. I want to thank Dr. Givens for your leadership throughout the years, and your predecessor, Dr. Walker. I'm sure you are going to carry on that well. I know that my father, who was a champion for this university, for this Martin Luther King celebration, and for diversity in this state, once compared his work to an artist in creating a mosaic of different colors, sizes, and shapes. He said, when these materials come together in the right design, they take on an artistic strength, scope, and beauty And that is far beyond what any individual could achieve. That is the power of diversity. I believe that power is alive and well here tonight. I also, on a personal note, want to pass along my family's prayers and wishes for Reverend Nance, who has stood with my family in times of great joy and great sorrow. We're going to be praying along with all of you here tonight for his good health. Also, it's great to be here with our champion, U.S. Senator Claire Mccaskill, to hear her words, to know that we have an ally on the other side of the Capitol. My colleague, Congressman Clay, and I depend on her, and she is a great partner in the work that we do in these tough times. And to have Dick Gregory, such a champion of civil rights here, it's a great, great honor. You know, I had the great experience, Constance has talked about being able to be there for the unveiling of the Martin Luther King Memorial back last fall. I had a chance to go there. I actually ran there in my jogging shoes and everything in this massive crowd. They had jumbotrons up and tens of thousands of people there. And the thing that really struck me, looking at that crowd, thinking about Dr. King's words about all God's children joining hands in common cause, that crowd looked like America. The second thing I noticed was the President of the United States that was there. And what that, I think, meant in realizing an important part of Dr. King's legacy. The other thing that struck me were the words of Reverend Sharpton, who I love to watch on MSNBC, by the way. But, you know, he was talking about the Wall Street protesters and said it was great to occupy a park in New York, but you know what we really ought to do if you want change is to occupy the voting booth. And I think that's a great message that we need to take with us, because as Senator Mccaskill said, there is a new attack in this country on our voting rights. And it's really pretty dastardly because it's focused on minorities. It's focused on seniors, the disabled, and students to create barriers to their rights, barriers to their voice. We have to stand up to that to be sure that no one is excluded in this country.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the Missouri State Senator for District 5, the Honorable Robin Wright Jones.
Well, good evening, St. Louis and Harris-Stowe State University. It is good to be before you again. I have three quick things to do before I take my seat. Number one, I would like to welcome Dr. Albert Walker to Harris-Stowe State University on behalf of the Missouri Legislature. We're glad to have you. May God bless you with a long tenure and a productive tenure, just as our Dr. Henry Givens had. Thank you. I'd also like to bring greetings to Dick Gregory from the Missouri Senate for all the long, hard work he has put into this city and this country to make it possible for me and others to be here on this stage. We look forward to hearing what he has to say. The second thing I want to bring up, last year when I was here, I talked about the African American timeline, and I was dismayed when I happened to run across it for various reasons that the last entry was in 1995 when the Honorable Ronnie White became Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. And I believe that he is here this evening, but we can't really see the audience. The last entry was 1995. This is 2012. I challenged the Secretary of State's office to find other entries, and we haven't been able to do anything. And it's not just about the state. It's about teachers. It's about preachers, doctors, researchers, lawyers, the average citizen. I'm sure that since 1995, there has been one African American who has done something brand spanking new, has broken a ceiling, has brought something new to the forefront on their job, and we need to know who you are. All right, I'm charging you to find out. I'm sure some of you know something. Senate.mo.gov, look for Robin Wright Jones. Let me know so next year we can clean this line up and bring it up to 2013. We're way behind.
Another community servant whose tireless work has not gone unnoticed, the Honorable Tashara Jones, member of the Missouri House of Representatives for District 63.
Good evening. President Walker, Dr. Givens, members of the commission, honored guests, faculty, students, and friends. As Assistant Minority Leader, it's my honor and privilege to bring you the most heartfelt greetings from the second session of the 96th General Assembly. Last September, my good friend from the Georgia legislature and I went to the Mlk Memorial in Washington, D.C. And if you haven't visited the monument yet, please go. I was awestruck and speechless as I visited there. But the one thing I didn't know was that some of Dr. King's most famous and some of his less famous quotes span the marble walls that lead up to the monument. And one of the ones that resonates with me most, as quoted earlier by our esteemed Senator Claire Mccaskill, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. 2012 is a year of challenge for us, and I hope you're ready to speak. If you don't remember anything else I've said this evening, remember this: your voice is your vote, and you can't let anybody take that away. We can't simply rest on our laurels and assume that the same people who voted in 2008 will show up in 2012. Your voice is your vote. Use that voice to keep speaking up against attacks to take your vote away. Your voice is your vote. Use that voice to keep speaking up against attacks on women's rights. Your voice is your vote, and use that voice to keep speaking up against attacks on workers' rights. Your voice is your vote, and most importantly, use that voice to re-elect our esteemed President Barack Obama. I said it before, 2012 is a year of challenge. And where will you stand? Your voice is your vote. And how will you use it? Thank you very much. God bless you.
Tonight's final special guest remarks will be brought to you by none other than City of St. Louis Mayor and member of the MLK Commission, Francis Slay. Mayor Slay.
Well, thank you and good evening, everyone. This is always a great event. One, as mayor, I'm very, very proud of the statewide kickoff of the celebration for the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. I'm very proud of this event, the people who put it together. I want to thank Mrs. Constance Gully for her leadership and all the commission members. To Dr. Givens, Doctor, it's always great to be with you. You're one of my favorite St. Louisans, and I really appreciate all you've done for this university, for our community, and for me personally. Thank you so much. And to Dr. Albert Walker, welcome to St. Louis and to Harris Stowe. I can assure you that I'll continue to work with this university and with you to help do everything we can as a city to support your efforts to keep this a quality institution, helping a lot of people in St. Louis. Thank you so much as well. You know, this is an important evening, and for good reason. Dr. King is an inspiration, or he should be, to all of us. You know, to set the tone, I'm going to just consider Dr. King's example. You know, he fought for justice. He fought for justice, but he did not hate. You know, he fought for respect, but he also gave respect to others. He fought for integration because he knew that separate was inherently unequal. He also talked a lot about love and service to others. If we truly want to celebrate Dr. King's life, we need to make our lives more like his. If we do this, if we make this commitment, and with our collective goodwill, together we can build what Dr. King called a truly great city. That would be an accomplishment all of us could be proud of. We can do it. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for all you do for our community. God bless you, and God bless the city of St. Louis.
And speaking of voice, Lacy Clay is in the building. Speaking of voice, I get to DC a lot, and these stories don't always make it back to members' home districts, so I feel obligated tonight to tell each of you all that Lacy has always been, in the 10 years that he's been in the United States Congress, a very inspiring and solid advocate for the city of St. Louis. He is a staunch friend and supporter of the president, and has great respect from his colleagues on both sides of the aisle. So, we are honored to have our brother Lacy Clay with us tonight. I'm sorry, President Walker. They're looking at me like Lord Wiseman doesn't have to be out of town. I promise she'll be back next year. Now, I kid my friends Jamila, Robert, Lacy, because they are my dear friends and we can do that. But I point them out specifically because they are great and shining examples of black leadership at the highest levels of our state in the grand tradition of Martin Luther King. So the theme for this year's 2012 MLK celebration is Strength, Sacrifice, and Service, Empowering a New Generation. Now the idea of empowering a new generation may be somewhat hard to reconcile with a 79-year-old keynote speaker for the evening. But the fact is that a new generation is greatest empowered by both the example and the guidance of the great spirits who came before us. There is no greater spirit, there is no bigger personality or a better person. There's no more important perspective for a new generation of civic and community leaders to benefit from tonight than that of Dick Gregory. I will leave the bio for each one of you all to read on your own. I'm confident that everybody in here, perhaps maybe 7 of y'all, don't know who Dick Gregory is. If you don't, we will be collecting your Afro card on the way out. You're welcome to apply for it. You're welcome to apply for it again at this time next year. So I'll leave the bio for you all to read on your own, but I do think that there is one great lesson from the life of Dick Gregory that warrants mention in this space and time. Before he was a world-renowned activist and educator, before he stood with kings and presidents to advocate for global justice, before he was the most famous man in all of America and the first African American to sell 7 million copies of any text, Dick Gregory was a comedian. Plato says in his ancient work, The Republic, that the unexamined life is not worth living. So as a young and talented comedian, Dick Gregory made the prophetic and Socratic choice to examine his talents, look inside himself, and ask himself, from where I stand with the gifts and with the platform that God has given me through the comedic profession, what will I do to advance the cause of my people throughout the world? And that's precisely the challenge for a new generation. Will we have the courage to look into ourselves like Dick Gregory did more than 60 years ago and ask not what can we do, but what will we do to force our people in the direction of progress in our lifetimes? And that is the lesson of Richard Claxton Gregory, and that is why he's the most free black man in the world. One final thought. I believe in giving our living ancestors, our very own kings and queens, their flowers while they can still smell them. Now, I know Dick Gregory is a world-renowned nutritionist, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon. But with that, I ask you all to rise on your feet, and join me in a human bouquet of flowers for the great Dick Gregory. Make some noise. Show your love.
Thank you very much. Let me first say we thank and praise God that we've all made it here safely today. I pray to God that your return and my return will be equally as safe. First, let me say thanks to those of you who have made this festivity and this week possible. My job's very easy. All I have to do is just present a body. Someone picked me up at the airport and someone showed up gonna take me back. So for those of you who put all the hard work together to make this possible, we say thank you. God bless you. Secondly, let me say to those of you who house the physical part, this mic didn't just jump up here, and the stand just didn't get up here, and the doors didn't just open up. And unbeknown to most of us, when we leave here tonight, someone who will never know their name will come in and clean up behind us. So for those folks, we live in a system that try to make certain people important and others not. If the garbage collectors and the trash collectors did not clean up the school would be closed. If you ever been to an airport and something's wrong with the planes, they're not running, and the weather's bad. And then at 3:30 in the morning, they tell you the airport's closed. Go at the counter and they'll book you on another flight. And at about 4:30, they say, we have you on a flight at 6 o'clock, but we have buses will take you to the hotel. And as you walk through that airport, it's filthy. All the food is gone. Trash cans is overrunning. You go into the men's room or the women's room, there's no toilet paper, there's nothing to wipe your hands on. It's filthy. And then you get to the hotel at 5 minutes after 5, and you back there at 6:30, and that airport is clean. The toilets is full of paper, hand towels, the food's been replenished. Somebody in the middle of the morning who will never know their names took care of that, and had they not been able to do that, the airport couldn't have opened up. Those are the people who we never see and never want to see. We say thank you. And thirdly, I looked around, I walked around, I looked around, nobody in here is homeless. Which means you got here the same way I got here. I had to cancel an appointment to be here. You're not here just because you had nothing to do. And so for those of you, had you not made that decision to be here this night and participate all week, the rest of it wouldn't have mattered. So to you and you and you, we say thank you. And my brother, thank you for the introduction. I've been into health and nutrition for years, and it's a mystery to me how I get up, turn on the news and pick up the paper and see where the government had just recalled spinach. 2 weeks later, they say cabbage has salmonella. 3 weeks later, they say collard greens. They never recall Budweiser. So you need to go to the health food industry and all the stuff they tell us is good for them and teach them how to put a product out that don't have to be recalled. And I appreciate you say, you're going to give me my roses while I'm alive so I can smell it. I love the smell of Budweiser tonight. Let me say thank you. It's a wonderful feeling not only to be honored by your peers, but in your hometown. In your hometown. They teach a course on Dick Gregory humor at the Sorbonne in France, one of the leading institutions in the world. And they asked me, would I come over in semester and teach a class? No, I don't speak French. I don't understand French. So then he asked me, he said, Mr. Gregory, why do you think they don't teach a course in Dick Gregory humor with your short wit in America? I said, if I was from France, y'all wouldn't be teaching it. So thank you for tonight, my brother Givens and brother Walker. It looks so easy. But it was vicious what we went through in this time. Vicious. And it was folks willing. My first march wasn't with Dr. King. My first march was here in St. Louis with Dr. Wheeler and the NAACP on the Board of Education. So I say thank you, St. Louis. Thanks to my family, my brothers and sisters, Ronald, Garland, Presley, Pauline, Dolores. Thank you. Thank you for all of my friends, all of my friends. Many of them's dead, many of them's gone. When I think about many of you sitting in this room, whose name will never be known except to the universe. We live in a society where we give glamour to entertainers and athletes. There's people in this room tonight that have done more for the humanities than 98% of all the athletes and entertainers put together on the planet. And we say thank you, thank you, thank you. And I appreciate the introduction, but you got my age off. You say 79. I was born October the 12th, 1932. That seems like 79, but I count the 9 months I was in my mother's belly. And I count the 3 months my old man was begging. Oh, Brother King would be happy to see how fast things are moving. I was thinking about, I went to grade school, high school here. And I've always wanted to be 75 years old, because I thought old black men was cool. Until now. I wish I was back in high school. Every time I pick up the paper, I read where some school teacher get arrested for having sex with the students. Boy, had teachers like that, I'd have had a perfect attendance record. I can just see my mama now. Boy, where you going out of here on Christmas morning with them books? I'm going to school, Mama. Why you going to school on Christmas morning? Well, I'm getting a little behind in my class. So I say thank you, St. Louis. I'm out here, I see all the folks who made this happen. No one will know your name. I bumped into Brother Cleo out there. Everybody say he's crazy. They say King was crazy. They say Jesus was crazy. St. Louis, thank you. I'm sitting here thinking about Brother Earl Wilson that put a piece together with that football classic that sent thousands of folks to college that never would have been there. Thank you. So when you stop and think about how fast this thing is moving, how quick it's moving, don't you all make a mistake. It's easy to make a mistake and talk about what's happening in politics today. Where have you all been? It never stopped. It never stopped. Why? Because we as black folks permit a system when they get caught to apologize. America is like I work in the steel mill for 8 hours, sweaty, stinky. Then I leave there and go to the packing house and shackle hogs. And then I'm invited here tonight, and I run home and change clothes, but I don't take a bath. And when I get here, you and I wondering who that is stinking. It's me. That's America you smell. We have never undone what we've done. We just put on a new outfit. I think about what the Gibbons and all you educators had to go through in a white, racist, insane system. But you kept going. Short budgets, but you kept going. So we say thank you. Thank you, Dr. King. That movement, the strongest two forces in the history of America, has always been the black woman in the black church. When you black folks, especially you young black folks, stop following the path of the old black folks with their silliness. Let a white, insane system tell me about family values. I am family values. I never stole nobody and made them work free for me to another religion, away from my mother, away from my father, and then you ask me about family values, and I'm stupid enough to try to explain to you. If I stole all y'all tonight and carried you someplace and made you work free for me, and then I'll look around and ask you about personal responsibility, you sucker enough to try to explain, and there's nothing no filthy than to hear a system including black, the problem in the black community ain't no man at home. When are we going to stop insulting the black? Hitler had a mother and father at home. Jack the Ripper had a mother and father at home. You can't have no more perverted family values than the mafia, Mama Mir. They go to church every day and pray to what? And yet you are so embarrassed, you let some thugs tell you who you are. And then you go along with it. I know who I am. I know who I am. And all you got to do is read the Bible right. There's never been a slave that didn't stay in captivity a minimum of 5,000 years, except us. We broke the chains in less than 300 years. Why? Because when that thug came over there to Africa, he thought he was stealing workers, he was stealing scientists. I built the pyramid. I'm the one that told you that's the big difference in the Milky Way. That was me. And now somebody is going to question the universal wisdom that the universal God gave me. And y'all buy into that crap? Somewhere. Thank you, Dr. King. When I watched Obama being inaugurated, I remember 2 weeks before, the Secret Service called me. And said, Mr. Gregory, we just want you to know you're on President-elect Obama's VIP list. And because of so many millions of people coming in, and because we have to deal with security, we'd like to pick up the VIPs 3 hours ahead of time. Where can we pick you up? So I get into my ghetto stuff. I don't know why y'all shame with your ghetto stuff. I say, is y'all be the same Secret Service that was in Dallas, Texas when Kennedy got shot? Oh no, thank you, I'll get there on my own. Tell you something. At some point, you're going to have to sit and be still and tune into the universe, and then you find out what's happening. The Tea Party, a bunch of racists. They're not racist. They was racist before they was Tea Party. What you're looking at now is fear. And fear is far greater than racism. That's what Hitler and them Nazis was able to do, and not to scare the German people. And when they stopped being afraid, they damn near marched all the way through Europe. So when you see all this silly stuff on TV and what they say, and you part of the blame, y'all got a baseball team and a football team, and in baseball when they bring in a designated hitter, it's the same game. So they gonna tell you use the N-word as a designated hitter. They still calling you president in 1968. And you white folks and black folks better be glad I didn't win. First thing, I'd have asked for a recount. Yeah, I was hoping Obama would have got in there and stopped playing with him, because they're not going to change. Not that group. Had I won, the first thing I would have done was dug up that damn rose garden and planted me a watermelon patch. And I'd sit up on the presidential balcony and eat watermelon and spit them seeds all the way down to Pennsylvania Avenue. I say, your mama. I was in London last week, and white people tell you, we're so glad you're here. You know, this is 2012, and the Aztec calendar then ran out on December the 21st. 2012. What do you think that means? I mean, you white folks really knock me out. You ain't never listened to nothing the Mexicans say. Lacy, I know you white folks would have been upset because I would announce there'll be no white folks in my cabinet. And you black folks, most of y'all be on TV saying he didn't mean that, so I say it twice. There'll be no white folks in my cabinet. Now you white folks that's out there, anything you heard me say about white folks tonight, I was not talking about you. See, I advocated there ain't but about 800 white folks on the whole planet. See, white ain't a color, it's an attitude. And if you haven't got trillions of dollars in the bank, you can't have the attitude. I'm talking about Queen Elizabeth type white folks. Now, they're my type of white folks. Queen Elizabeth made $360 million every 24 hours just interest on her money. Now, them these white folks. And I like them type of white folks. They're not honest, they're not ethical, they're not godly, they're not, but they don't lie. They say, we're going to war to protect our interests. As an interest. So now we established the fact there'll be no more white folks in my cabinet. Now, black folks, it's your turn. Any black person that has more than a 3rd grade education, you will not be in my cabinet. If you can read or write, you will not be in my cabinet. If you can say, you will not be in my cabinet. Now, what do I base that on? For 200 and some odd years, the cabinets in America been these brilliant, rich white boys with the best education in the world. And if they mess the country up this bad, let me try something different. So my cabinet, first one I picked is my cousin right here in St. Louis. Jacko Jones. He can't read or write. He'd be my Secretary of Defense. And I can just see 60 Minutes now. Jacko, now that you're Secretary, what are you planning on doing about defense? He said, first I'm gonna fix it, then paint it. Entrepreneurship. General Motors just went bankrupt. Major corporations all over the world can't make it. Now you telling me to try? Mostly black folks, one white midget, and open up an airline company, a black airline, with no apology. It'd be Tamika Air. And our motto, we leave late, but we get you there on time. And we can guarantee white folks, we will not lose none of your bag, but we're not going to let you bring none on. And we're going to be a very Christian airline. There'll be no alcohol sold on our airline. You bring your own whiskey, we just sell the setup. So I leave you tonight. Y'all notice everybody see me got an award for me? They called my name, but they didn't bring me up here. So So those of y'all that got awards, you better watch them real close, because one's going to be missing before I get somewhere, when you stop and think how far out of the leadership of the civil rights movement we have come. When you think about how far, and you trace it all the way back to black folks, and 98% of the people in that movement, the black folks, had Reverend in front of their name before they had PhD. 60 to 70% of that movement was women. We haven't talked about that yet, but we will. And so, again, I say to you, when you stop and think about how far things can change, and you old black folks, y'all need to change your whole mind. Talking about these young children this, these young children that. I heard some old black folks the other day, I don't know what's wrong with these young ones. When we was their age, we never locked no doors. You didn't have nothing. And hungry. The best day we had in our house was Halloween. That's the day you could wear your natural clothes. And everybody thought you was dressed for the occasion. Woo, look at Richard, got on shoes, look just like feet. Only time a rat was in our house, he was taking a shortcut. Don't take this book home and put it somewhere. Look at this every day and think about what one person with courage can change the whole planet. Think about it. One person can change the whole planet. And he didn't change it and do that because he thought he was going to be on the mall, and the brother was telling you he was running it down. The mall, that's sacred ground. Whoa, ain't nobody there but white men, no white women. White men that either been presidents, you heard the brother say, or they had something to do with signing or writing the Constitution. And now we got a king, and if you know protocol, kings outweigh presidents. King on the mall. Back up, President. Let this king come through. And those of y'all haven't been there, you need to go. And those of you been there, go and look. You know, the Chinese guy did the sculpture, and I was amazed because he got nappy hair. I said, Chinese know about nappy hair. Then I realized, oh, they make wigs. You know they know about nappy hair. So, we got a hell of a job to do. When I think about all the black folks that take your children to Disneyland to see a rat, that had never been to King's grave, and had he not died, you wouldn't be welcome in Orlando. Thank you, Dr. King. To you young folks, it's a different America today. All that crap you hear on TV, they've been saying that. They used to didn't have to answer for it like they did last week. They didn't have to lie and say, I was here, blah. They just said that nobody cared what was said about a Mexican or a Puerto Rican or African American. They didn't care. Now, because of you, they have to answer to it somewhere. So we say thank you. And you young folk, just remember one thing. This planet been changed, and it started with that brother and that's movement of black folks. The whole planet have changed. To you young folks, all that stuff they used to tell you about white folks, oh, a lot of them have changed. These young white cops had different cops. Why? Because they went to school with you. You taught them how to dunk. And you got to understand white folks too. The number one football player, he was making all kind of money, and he got messing with them dogs. And then white folk jumping. He said, I make it out to be walking the park. And I tried to tell him, I said, I live around rich white folks. They serious about their dogs. You black folks don't understand it. White folks will hire nannies to change their baby's diaper and walk their own dog and pick up the doo-doo. So you young folks, these young white cops, they different, they know you. Had a cousin, white cop pulled him over last week. White cop said, excuse me, sir. Yeah, what you want, honky? I said, well, you went through that stop sign. He said, I slowed up. Well, but took that nightstick and said, now you want me to stop or you want me to slow up? It's a different group out here now. Young white cop pulled over the brother. Yeah, what you want, honky? White boy took that stick and slapped him upside the head, and then he went around to the passenger side, let that window down, and slapped him. Pop! Why you hitting me? I'm not driving. He said, I know you. So when you get a block away, you say, I wish the honky would have hit me. To you young folks in the house, when you get home tonight, take out your cell phone and look at it. There are no wires connected to it. There are no screws hooking it into here. And you can turn that on and call anywhere in the world. The God first works the same way. It comes to you. You don't have to look up or go through no changes. Just turn it on. And it will hear you. You don't have to worry about being scared or wondering how you're going to do this. The most important thing on this planet is oxygen. And if I put my hands over your nose and mouth for 30 minutes, you'll be dead. And yet still, it is free. You can't see it, you can't taste it, you can't smell it, you can't feel it. That's how the universal God works. Anything on this universe that's good for you, it comes to you. The sun comes to you. You don't have to go to the sun. The moon comes to you. You don't have to go to the moon. And when you understand how special you are, you're not put here to let another human being with their trifling ways get involved with the God force you got inside of you. And when you understand that, you don't have to hide or be afraid. The First National Bank didn't make you. Police departments didn't make you. Jails didn't make you. The same force that built mountains and filled up the ocean with water, that's your boss. And all you got to do is go to it. You don't have to beg, you don't have to whip, you don't have to buck dance. You say, hey, fix it. Fix it. So thank you much. Love you. God bless you. Peace be with you.